Whatever, man. I went to Catholic school. The real thing is always going to be scarier. The Conjuring franchise shook up the horror genre by asking, hey, what if we cast good actors in the lead roles and took our time writing decent scripts, setting up handsome production values and well-thought-out suspenseful set pieces, instead of just half-assing everything and counting on the jump scares to do all the work? Hey, good idea, movie, but taking time takes time, so how are you still going to crank out sequels every October? Apparently by doing cheap spin-offs based around the other ghosts, demons, whatever that turn up in the main movies, but without the difficult-to-schedule lead actor. Which is kinda cheating, maybe, because the monsters in these movies and entities are things that can possess different objects and take multiple forms, but whatever. It's already given us the terrible prequel Annabelle and the actually pretty good pre-prequel Annabelle creation, and now we've got the Nun, which is set in 1952 Romania, making it a pre-prequel to the entire Conjuring cinematic universe, and oh god, I'm so tired. But the end result is actually pretty good. I mean, it's not great by any stretch of the imagination, it's not as good as Annabelle creation, and it seems pretty clear that actually equaling or surpassing the surprising excellence of the first Conjuring movie is going to be a tough mountain for the franchise to climb in general, but this is a solidly crafted, agreeably spooky, gothic ghost story that knows how to work an atmospheric location for all it's worth, and being connected only by the loopiest of contrivances to the main series outside the Nun itself. Unlike the official Conjuring movies, people who actually know the history behind the quote-unquote true story parts of this don't have to grit their teeth and bear it during the parts where the movie pretends the Warrens weren't completely full of shit. Ahem. Anyway, in case you forgot, the Nun was one of several forms assumed by Valak, the demonic entity behind all the bad doings in Conjuring 2, and since that was the one people seemed to like the best, it popped up again with very little explanation in the background gags of Annabelle 2. The Nun movie not only zips back to the 1950s to explain how and why the shape-shifting Valak got into this particular habit, thank you, but also back to the Middle Ages to explain where Valak came from and why, in an attempt to retcon him into the ultimate villain of the franchise, since Conjuring 2 also implied that dark forces are specifically lining up to thwart whatever holy mission Ed Warren is supposed to be on, and fuck, I'm sorry, it's just, Amityville was long enough ago that it might not actually be understood anymore, so like, the batting average of these movies is really good, I'm not denying that, I like them, but people still know that the true story part of this is a real reach, and that even a lot of other paranormalists don't even take the Warrens seriously, right? Like Amityville and that thing from The Conjuring 2 are considered two of the most obvious haunting hoaxes ever, and even in that ridiculous field of pseudoscience, these people are generally seen as, well, not the fucking exorcist superheroes they are in these movies. I mean, just checking. Anyway, if I seem distracted, it's because there really isn't much of a story or setup to speak of here. Demian Bashir and Taisa Farmiga are a jaded priest and a novice nun dispatched by the Vatican to an isolated Romanian convent to investigate another nun's suicide and or snoop around for evidence of demonic, unholy, haunting, whatever activity. They get the side eye from the locals, pushback from the other nuns, spooky stuff happens at night. Hey, I wonder if whatever this decaying medieval castle was before it was a convent has anything to do with what's going on. I don't know, but we'd better constantly investigate while separated so we can never ask each other if the stranger we're talking to is a real person or a ghost. Then again, it's a Conjuring movie, so there are no coherent rules to this, so whatever. So yeah, very standard spooky old castle movie, drenched in gray-blue Gothic Catholicism grime and built around a ghost nun visual scheme for really no other reason than audiences liked that version of Valak from Conjuring 2, and this particular demon is apparently very brand conscious, and yet it all mostly hangs together about as well as any of these things can hang together thanks to very strong direction from British filmmaker Corin Hardy, who broke out big a couple of years ago with a movie called The Hallow that had people drawing comparisons to the likes of early Peter Jackson and Guillermo del Toro. I don't know about that, and as gothic horror goes, The Nun is definitely no Crimson Peak. But Hardy is definitely the real thing, and he pumps up this otherwise fairly rote haunted house exorcist mashup with enough style and atmosphere that you can mostly overlook the predictable plot turns and the fact that Valak isn't really an interesting villain outside of his ability to pick a good Halloween costume. The bigger issue is that apart from the stylish flourish that he's able to bring, the film remains largely locked into the Conjuring franchise semi-grounded realistic approach, which serves to make the lapses in logic, like staying in the damn convent even after experiencing Mr. Stay Puft attacking New York level paranormal manifestations, pretty much right the hell away, stick out even further. I mean, this is why movies like Suspiria, the first one, use the whole dream logic nightmarescape thing so they don't have to follow coherent logical schemes in the first place, and it's okay when the characters do things that don't make any sense. I also, despite my general indifference to the continuity of these things, kept getting distracted by how much Taissa Farmiga is made to look like her older sister, who plays Lorraine Morin in the other movies, and they give her the same Christian version of Jean Grey powers, and it kind of feels like that's supposed to be on purpose, but I don't think the timeline fits where she'd be an actual ancestor, and then nothing really comes of it, but maybe it's her mother or something, I don't know. I guess that's the Nun 2, probably. But regardless, Hardy does keep things moving, and it picks up considerably as things get all national treasure in Act 3, with a late arriving object hunt for a demon-killing ancient MacGuffin that's almost literally a holy hand grenade, and a big showy finale that's very agreeable, even if it's kind of stolen straight out of Tales from the Crypt Demon Knight. In the end, it's goofy and kind of a 2.5-star movie, but I came away from it mostly on the okay side, and I think most audiences probably will as well, so call it a soft recommendation.